switch spots. Where? Over there. And I'm not scared. Look, there's a Tony right there. That guy Elijah had to be sharp Oh, I was gonna ask you. I about this guy and you, about Floyd and you.
What about us?
You guys are related. You guys help.
We're not related.
No, we'll talk about it.
We're not related. It would be an honor, sir, but we're not related.
Unfortunately, no. We're good friends.
Waiting for my friend second. My dad.
Oh yeah.
Probably made me upset.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have told him. You over there chewing.
World champs, right? I didn't eat.
There she is. That's it.
Huh? That's the biggest rival of all. This is what they make billions of dollars. Huh?
There's one good thing.
I have this vision. Sorry. I have one journalist. I was going to New. Welcome, Douglas. That's right. I gotta represent my LA team.
That's right.
I know they need to make these chairs more out.
Need a bigger for some things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, the same limits. We're safer than all that. They ask the question. Oh,
So
Okay, chief. Say good chief. So bad.
I'll do this instead. Sorry. Sorry. No, Steve, no, not at all. There we go. So I'm not annoying everybody.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is the first regular meeting of the month for the month of November of the Espanola City Council. Thank you for joining us this evening for November 12th meeting. The time is 6:04. We're going to call this meeting to order. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jose, would you all please remain standing? Jose Marquez from Victory Faith Church is going to be leading us in invocation this evening. You don't mind Sir coming here and making sure that there's the light on.
So for separation of church.
Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you, God, for our mayor, our city council, the leaders of every level in this city, God. Give them grace to bring truth and justice, God. Give them the power, God, to do what is right and fair. We pray for wisdom in every decision that they make tonight, God. May you be glorified in it all. We seek your guidance here tonight in this place, God. Father, I also pray that you would bless their families, God. Bless their home, Father. I also pray, God, that a special blessing over the governing body of Espanola, God. I speak a blessing over the city of Espanola.
Can you all hear anything?
And we pray all of this in Jesus' name. And everybody said, Amen.
Amen.
That's true.
Thank you.
I can hear. I can't hear anything that's being said.
Someone for separation.
I can now. I just couldn't hear anything before. Right. I hear you guys on the verge. I hear you on remote, but I can't hear anybody there. I can't hear. Yeah, I can't hear anybody.
Can Miss Martin hear us?
Oh, now I can hear. Can you hear now, April?
Miss Martin, can you hear us?
Yes, I just started being able to hear you now. Barely.
Okay, Miss Martin, the meeting was called to order at 6:04.
Thank
Just
you.
so you know. Clerk, would you please proceed with the roll call? And Elizabeth, please interrupt and interject at any time to ensure that you're hearing the whole transcription of tonight's meeting.
Mr. Mayor, would you mind telling me who gave the prayer?
Mr. Jose Marquez from Victory Faith Church.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll tonight?
Mayor Pro Tem Luis Martinez, Monarch Councilor Denise Benavides. Present. Councilor Justin Salazar Torres.
Is he online?
No.
Okay, he's excused.
Councilor Aaron Salazar.
Present.
Councilor Feliciar Chuleta Toya. Present. Councilor Pedro Valdez.
Here.
Councilor Nanette Rodriguez. Present. Councilor Samuel Ledoux.
Here.
You have a quorum of 7-0.
Thank you. Members of the governing body, you have before you the agenda for this evening.
Move to approve as presented.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Luis Martinez to adopt tonight's agenda as presented. Second by Councilor Aaron Salazar. If there is nobody under discussion, Councilor Review.
Yes, I would like to remove item E from public hearings as there's been no significant changes since the last time we tabled this ordinance, and I don't think that we need to do it again.
What is that?
He wants to remove item B, the ordinance 2024-4. An ordinance prohibiting nuisance weeds and providing for procedures and disposal of weeds by the owner or occupant of the property or by the city.
Mayor, has the management worked on disposal of the weeds?
Yes, we have a new contract and they're hauling off the waste from most sections.
So I think that is where we want to be. I have a lot of contacts from different constituents concerned about their neighbors' yards. I think that it's important that we as a community need to push forward and push our constituents to make their properties look presentable, especially in neighborhoods where everybody else is taking care of their neighborhood and there's one or two people in that same neighborhood that are destroying the aesthetics for everybody. I think it's important that the city does get on top of these issues. I know it's hard because if one person lets the weeds go, the weeds spread all over the whole area and it becomes a problem for everybody. So I'm okay with leaving that on if we're ready to go.
Okay, Councilor Ledoux, you just indicated it for discussion. You didn't indicate a motion. So at this point, the only motions that stand at the floor is the approval of the agenda. There's a motion in the second.
I'd like to make a motion to.
There's a motion made by Councilor Samuel Ledoux to table item D, City of Espanola Ordinance 2024-4. All right, there's no second, the motion dies. Under discussion of the approval of the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay, under approval of the agenda, discussion, Mayor Pro Tem Luis Martinez.
Can we move up the school resource officer presented by Police Chief Mr. Garcia? We have this Espanola Public Schools in house, and I would hate for them to have to wait for the whole agenda, so we could move them up to right before public hearing, right after.
We can move them after B because Los Alamos County is present here as well.
Okay, so after item 10, before item 11. Where you at?
Wait, so we can't restructure the public hearings part.
Okay, so right after the public hearing.
Okay, so you want to put discussion, approval of the memorandum of understanding between the City of Espanola and Espanola Public Schools for school resource officer. You want to make it A or B?
Under 11, where we have item proposed.
Yeah, 11A, you want to make it 11A or 11B? Because Los Alamos County is present as well. They are yes too.
Okay, we will go right after, so we'll say 11A2.
No, but it'll just be 11B.
Hey, Leroy Truth, how you doing?
Yeah, but we'll just
Okay.
reorder them.
Okay, so you'll move
Leroy
everything
Truth,
down.
they're,
So,
they're trying to
there's a
prevent
motion
Stephen
on the floor
from using swear words.
to redo, making item F, 11F, and making that item 11B. Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Peggy Sue Martinez, second by Councilman Drew. Is there any further discussion? Yes. And, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Indicate same sign, indicate nay.
You voted on the motion to adopt that?
No, just you adopted.
Correction.
It's all done as the approval of the agenda, and you were the original maker of the motion to adopt the agenda. Therefore, you also moved up F to be 11B. All right, thank you. All the agenda is adopted for this evening. But before you governing body members, you have the consent agenda. The adoption of the September 25th, 2024 emergency city council meeting minutes and the October 2nd, 2024 special city council meeting minutes. Motion made by Councilor Pedro Valdez, second by Mayor Pro Tem Peggy Sue Martinez. There is no discussion on consent agenda. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Same sign indicating nay. Thank you. Would the clerk please inform me if anyone comes in online?
Thanks, John. Thank
Council
you.
Salazar Torres enters online, because at that juncture, we need to stop with voice vote and we need to go back to roll call vote. I don't know if he's on, but just
Who's that?
Council Salazar Torres.
No, he's not.
Okay, well, if he does at all in the meeting, please let me know. All right, public comment this evening. Public comment is organized by the signing in over here, Madam Clerk Martinez.
Eva Abeta.
And Ms. Martinez, you laid out also the rules.
You have 2 minutes.
Okay, first of all, this meeting is for increasing the price of our water, sewer, and trash, or I understand that, is that correct?
Mr. Mayor, can she please give her name?
You need to give them your first and last name and your address.
Okay, we need to reset the clock.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Or in football,
That's fine. Just,
you know.
just at least speak into the mic so that the transcription is clear.
Okay, my name is Eva Abeta, my address is 1915 East Shadowwood Lane, Espanola, New Mexico, and I am a city resident. I guess we're here to talk about an item of increasing the water, source, and trash. Right now, we have an allotment of 10,000 gallons per residential use that's allotted to us each month. I've done a little bit of research, and it says that an individual in a household uses 100 gallons a day.
Mr. Mayor, her comment
So
should
what
be
we're doing is we're shorting, like, we have enough to allot 2 people in a household, plus not quite the third one. So what we're giving the city residents is water for 2 people and a little bit more. And that's just people. That's washing, doing dishes, household. There's nothing for landscaping. There's nothing for any outside water usage other than the 10,000. And that's inside, outside, whatever. I think that's a little low right now. And I do know that I live in a household of 2 people, and I usually go over. It's just me and my husband. And I'm very conservative with my water, I really am. But then there comes in the overusage. What are you guys charging for overusage per gallon? And is that gonna go up too? Because an average bill of 120, which is what I usually pay, will go up anywhere to 250, 270 in the summer when I'm watering my plants. That's a bit much for a household of 2, I think, already. And another thing is, how are you guys regulating the sewer in the summer months. I've called before and they say, well, you know, it depends on how much you use in the summer. We kind of regulate and figure out, but they don't tell the residents how they figure it out. Thanks.
Thank you. This is a clarification to everybody here. You're more than welcome to sign in for public comment, but if you're here to discuss anything and pertaining to the two ordinances, public hearing, there will be a public hearing at that point, and then the floor will be opened up for the public to sign in at that point. If you'd like to speak about in general things, you can do public comment as well. You're open to do either or, but just so you know and aware, if you're here to speak on behalf of the utility rate increase or the weed ordinance, you can do it also during the actual public hearing for the ordinances. And I want to also let you all know, the governing body cannot engage you during public comment or during the public hearing. But staff is taking notes of every single question that is asked this evening, and it will be discussed during their presentation covering that. Madam Clerk.
All right, good evening. My name is Lorenzo Martinez. I live at 1615 Greenfield Road. That's off West Shadowwood in Espanola. I'm a city resident, have been for a long time. I know what you just said there, and but I don't think I can stay that long. I have another engagement. So I just want to make a couple of comments based on the water ordinance, just to kind of mention some stuff that I think is important. One of those things is that it's my understanding that the city feeds some other communities water, and mainly I believe Cuatro Villa, and there might be some other ones whose rates are 0 to very minimal. And so, knowing that, my belief is that we ought to be looking at increasing those rates prior to increasing the rates of residents. The other thing I just want to mention real quick is on the city ordinance around the weeds. I totally agree. I think that there are a lot of residents that have overgrown weeds, and it does mess with the aesthetics of the community. However, as you drive around our community, there's also a lot of city property, there's a lot of roadways, it's not just the residents, but the city itself has a massive problems with not just weed, but also litter, garbage, trash. And so while I definitely agree that ordinances are needed, I understand there's already a weed ordinance. I mean, I've had letters dropped off in my mailbox in the past for weeds, so I don't understand why we've got a second ordinance coming up. There's already one on the books, and if we would just enforce that, I think we would be better off than trying to add additional legislation to something that's already existed. And so just some comments I wanted to make on that. I don't want to take up too much time, but that's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm going to make this a point. On October 10th, I was here at a meeting for the unhoused and was told specifically by Eric, the city manager, that Peggy Sue was going to turn in the animal laws within 3 weeks' time. All she had left was one more thing to add to it. Well, 3 weeks have gone by, and I'm still wondering if that has been turned in yet to legal. It has been well over a year, as every city council member in here knows that I have mentioned this at every single meeting. So I would like a response today during councilor comments whether or not this updated animal laws have been submitted to legal. I would like an answer today. Thank you. And here's
Honored Mayor, honored council members. My name is Benjamin Pierce. I reside at 312 North Railroad. This is the first time I have ever been asked to state my address at a public meeting, and I've appeared before the state legislature and various public commissions. I'm here tonight not as a representative of any organization that I may be associated with, but as a private citizen. These are my views and my views alone. Some of the most debated words are: Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or therefore of the press, or the right of the people to peacefully assemble and to petition the government for redress of their grievances. These words have been fought over. There have been bloodshed for these very words. I have seen what happens when states try to silence the voices of their people. I have personally witnessed the horrors that are involved. I am horrified and sickened that a city government in the United States, whose country's first guaranteed right is not the right to vote, it is not the right to bear arms, it is the right for the freedom of the press and the right of people to redress their government in the manner they see fit. By restricting the freedom of one individual, you are restricting the freedoms of all the citizenry. When I hear blasphemous words come out of the mouths of those elected to hear the people, that they have a right not to hear the voice of the people. They have the right not to hear profanity.
Well said. Thank you.
Catherine. Thank you. Council members, my name is Catherine Davis Sparks. I live on Railroad. After reading the proposed resolution 2024-58 that dictates how we are allowed to express our First Amendment rights during a time of outrage, a time of injustice, and a time during which our elected officials have begun to fail us, I have to find the whole absurd. Here we are, the people who placed the politicians we currently face into power by voting you in, whom we the people are also encouraged by the Constitution of the U.S. to remove from power should they not perform the duties of office for which they were elected. And we are being coerced into compliance through restraints being placed on by those persons to prevent us from speaking our ill-contented discontent aloud with the actions taken by this council. This resolution is not one in the sense that it is meant to open dialogue and communication, but rather the resolution to silence those who are attempting to express their justified outrage over the recent maltreatment of our fellow human beings, regardless of their status in society. The city has a responsibility to the people who brought them into this revered position held above all others to do everything to better the living situation as a whole, for the whole, not for those who just happen to afford a place to live. Attempting to silence the people through red tape language with vagaries such as blasphemous, although this is a secular committee and that word has no place here, hand gestures, and slanderous remarks leads one to understand that the proposed resolution is not one to encourage dialogue, again, but to limit how one can express their unhappier emotions and disagreeing opinions, which is what this council is required to listen to, regardless of your personal positions. If you do not want people to comment on your personal life, then act in a manner accordingly. Do not acknowledge the comment as an insult, but as an insight on what the people who voted for you to be in this position expect of you in your position. Do not pass this resolution.
Well said. Thank you. Well said.
Good evening. When you guys came into office, you guys put your right hand on the Bible on this, and you guys swore to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of New Mexico. You guys don't like what I have to say during public comment. That is my right to redress you however I want. It doesn't matter if you guys like it or not. That's why you guys are there. If you guys didn't want to be elected officials, you guys wouldn't get criticism. You guys all want good criticism. It comes with it, good or bad or the ugly. Each and every single one of you swore an oath to uphold the Constitution. You're the new city attorney. I know case law. There's a case law, Brandenburg versus the state of Ohio, where the state can't silence people's speech without it being threatening or inciting violence. There's Cohan versus California. The word fuck you is protected by the free speech of the United States under the Constitution of the First Amendment. With that being said, fuck Eric, fuck Peggy, and fuck you, John. Fuck the party.
Tom Simon?
I think I'll wait for the public hearing. Thank you.
Isabel Baker Hudson?
I actually signed in for public record notice.
So all these people here are the little group
Mark Hudson?
with the makers. These are all
Not to speak right now.
expensive people.
During the public hearing, correct?
Yes.
Wow, that's a nice one. Regarding
Peter
the
Cole?
weeds.
Hi. I'd probably have to look up my address, but it's here in town. Let's see, I've been training for, I'm a downhill skier, so as part of my training, I've decided to go along the roads and pick up the trash. And so far, I've picked up over 100 bags of those 42-gallon bags. And I picked up like the big park. What's the name of that park up there? It's where the old motocross park used to be. And I got about 8 bags off of there and picked up all up and down the streets. Anyway, here's the deal is I went down to that place underneath the bridge where all the homeless were living. And I picked that up too, even though I saw you had bulldozers down there. And I was able to, you see, I'm doing this on Social Security, and so I only had X amount of dollars. And I've disposed of 6 loads to the dump, which is $15 a load, and 2 bags, 2 sets of bags, which is $32 a set, which comes to $64 plus tax. And so I'm into it for about $100 and some dollars. Now, that doesn't bother me, but I'm out of money for the month. And I've collected, there's 15 bags underneath that bridge. And there's a pile of clothes the size of a pickup truck. And so what I'm looking for, I talked with Elijah, who is your parks manager, and he said he's gonna send somebody down there. And that isn't the end of my request. It's, I'd like to have a place like a dumpster or a site where I could deposit a lot of these bags, and it would save me the $15 trip. And I wouldn't mind changing the reputation. The town's kind of got the reputation of being the dumpster of New Mexico. And on my own, I could probably pick this place up. It's not that big. And so what I'm hoping for is I might look for others to volunteer, but even if they didn't, I could pick it up. It doesn't take that long. You know, each day you pick a block. You know, you walk along, it's good exercise. I never work more than 2 hours. You know, it's kind of been my life's deal. And I know about the 2 minutes, so. Anyway, so any help I could get would be appreciated, even though I don't want any money. And I don't want any credit. But I do want you to get involved a little bit. Thanks.
Thank you. Yep. Okay, that concludes public comment for this evening. Councilor comments. Councilor Ledoux.
Yes, I first want to thank the VFW and the veterans helping us put on the Veterans Day event. That was a really amazing event. I was really impressed as always. So thank you for everything you did and helping us honor our veterans. I also want to thank Chemex Electric Co-op. They had to deal with a really difficult situation. And I know that Joseph Sanchez was on communication with me the entire time. We constantly were trying to get people's power restored. And Joseph was really good at making sure I knew exactly what was going on in my district when I texted him to ask him about that. As my district is the most impacted probably in the city. ZS States did not go back on until probably about 7 or 8 o'clock on Friday, when people were out of power for about almost 48 hours. So I was really appreciative of him keeping us up to date and being really communicative. And I hope that they can figure out a way to reimburse some of the folks for some of the food that was lost. I know that Joseph said on television that he was going to work to try to do that. So I hope that we find a way, because a lot of people did lose perishable items during that time period. I also want to congratulate the football team on their win. They're going to go against Taos, and they've done it again. It's really good to see the Sun Devils do that. And I hope, I just got an email right before this meeting from the coach's wife. They're looking at possibly doing a police escort, so I'm going to forward that over to the city manager and see if there's anything we can do regarding that. But one thing that has been bothering me the last couple of weeks is that I feel like the city council, we as a whole, we have a lot of misplaced priorities. I feel like a lot of things we've done over the last year haven't really addressed a lot of the painful issues that I continue to see throughout the city. During the power outage, I had a chance to speak to a lot of people about the issues that they directly faced during these times. And you see it in the paper, you see it in the news, shootings in Ranchitos, shootings in El Llano, high-speed car chases. The crime problem is just continuing to get out of control. The drug problem is just continuing to get out of control. And we really haven't done a lot to address those issues specifically. And I feel like our priorities at these meetings, we continue to just move money around. We continue to look at superficial things, in my opinion, and we're not really addressing some of the hard issues that we have to face. We're not the Chamber of Commerce. We're not the Tourism Authority. We're the City Council. We're supposed to address some of the hardest issues that our people face. I had a heartbreaking story. I was at the dinner for the football team and at El Buen Pastor, and the pastor there told me about some of the homeless people he had to do funerals for because they died of drug overdoses. And I just keep hearing these things over and over and over again, and it feels like we downplay them every time they're brought up in meetings. We say, "Oh, it's happening everywhere. Oh, it's an issue that we're all facing." But these are my neighbors. These are my friends. These are my family. These are my people. And I feel like when we're talking about plastic bags, Facebook posts, stuff like that, the last meeting we spent basically an hour talking about ourselves, and that I feel like we're not really going to the heart of the issues that people really do care about and the struggles they're facing. Our oath is not to a politician, it's not to the city's reputation or anything like that. It's to the citizens, the people of Espanola, and it's to uphold and protect the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of New Mexico. And it says in there that we are supposed to maximize those rights, not try to get to the legal bare minimums, try to silence them and stuff like that. We need to get back on focus and addressing the real issues that are facing this job.
Point of order. Anyone else? Councilor Benavides.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd like to ask the chief how many calls they attended to last month. Chief, if you have that number off the top of your head.
Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Councilor Benavides, we average between 1,600 to 1,800 calls a month.
Thank you, Chief. I just want the public to know that and hear that because I'm not on the public safety committee anymore. But it's incredible the number of calls that you guys attend to. And so we talk about doing more, doing more, doing more. What is the more? Because you set up committees, you're meeting with other entities as far as law enforcement, trying to partner, trying to do everything we can possibly do. There's a new drug treatment facility in town that's doing phenomenal, working together with our social services director. We're trying to increase the number of beds at that facility to try to target some of that drug addiction that's out there plaguing the community. And yeah, it is everywhere. I don't worry about everywhere. I worry about my community. And I'm out there trying to do everything I can possibly do to try to address the issue. And that's from talking to people, that's from being boots on the ground, that's from talking to the homeless everywhere I see them, and trying to provide for them. And when we talk trash, we have to keep in mind that people can have good hearts, but when we're continually giving the homeless clothing and items like that, they move around a lot and they can't carry it. So guess what happens? It lands with this trash. They leave it behind. It's continual. So if we're going to provide the homeless items, let's make sure that they're items that they totally need. Otherwise, donate them somewhere that they can go get what they need, so it doesn't land up as trash somewhere. And secondly, Mayor, I just wanted to let everybody know that November 25th, Joan and Vogel are having a toy drive in the San Pedro Plaza. I partner with them every single year. If anybody can come, donate toys, or gift cards to older teens. They do distribute those at the electric light parade or previously parade. So if you can donate any gifts, please do so on that day. Again, it's November 25th.
I first off want to thank the staff at Darren's Place. Myself, city manager, and our city clerk went and met with them this past week after they came to the meeting and invited us. And I will say, and I invite members of the community, if you have questions and you have concerns about Darren's Place, it is really worth reaching out and learning about their program. I was really enlightened when I was on the campaign trail. Darren's Place came up a lot. I got a lot of negative feedback about Darren's Place. But I can say that they really are trying to help the community in addition to all the things that all the other entities are trying to do with those that battle substance abuse. So I wanted to start off with that. And then the other thing is I am going to direct my comment to Councilor Ledoux. I am glad that you speak what I believe is from your heart and you are trying to do the right thing for the people. But I do want to let you know, as your fellow counselor, that it makes me angry when you say that we aren't prioritizing or we don't, basically that we don't have compassion for those that are battling drug addiction, because we do. I do. When you use the word we, I don't appreciate it, because I have family that battle this every day. And so I do appreciate your willingness to speak up. I do. I'm not trying to make this personal, but please do your best to not say we, because I am not part of that we. I battle for my family every single day, every day. And so sometimes I think that you need to hear that too. But for me personally, I'm not speaking for anyone else up here. I pray on my knees every single day for anyone that battles substance abuse. I will do anything for anyone that wants to help. So if anyone out there has that silver bullet and how you change someone's mind and take advantage of these programs, I'm all ears, because I beg my family every day to take advantage, every day.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll first address what we're talking about because I feel like it's on subject, but then I want to go on to some other things. Concerning what this council is about and what we prioritize, it is a matter of majority rules. And that's the nature of politics in every sector, majority rules. And we've had our meetings, we've had the opportunity to list our priorities. Since you've been on board, you were involved in those priority meetings. I really feel like we've done our best to address the situations that we've been affected with the homeless, with the drug use, with all of these things that are derogatory that are affecting our community. I feel like the staff has done an incredible job. And I want to recognize Michelle, please stand up. She's on the front line every single day, doing what she can do to affect the situation. Right now, she's waiting on an assistant to be there with her. We've taken the staff from planning and zoning. All code enforcement officers had been with her for over a month. You talk about moving money. Nobody has moved any money from anywhere. Money that has been allocated to the staff came through the budgetary process. Nobody has moved money anywhere. Let me make that clear, so that I don't want anybody thinking that there's any shenanigans going on here. There's not. Anything that has been done legitimately. These guys are killing it. They already have sent 11 people to the house. They've connected to a 24-hour detox center. They're talking about some type of housing, wraparound services. They're collaborating with the Pueblo. They're collaborating with 100 agencies. She's killing it night and day. And the comments that you make here and online are derogatory to the staff and it bursts the mobile and energy and heart that they have for this community. It's awful. Please work with us. You have the heart. You have the intelligence. Please work with this governing body to move this city forward. Please, I'm asking you, please. If anybody knows what drugs have done to people, I know. I know. I married 2 brothers to an overdose. I know that. Yes, my God.
No, it'd be nice if we could.
Order,
order, Mr. Baker.
I know what it's like. I've dealt with that. And I'm going to tell you this. These guys have done everything they can do to affect the situation. The city of Espanola has received 0 funding for homelessness. We're working on that. These guys are working on that part of it. The fire department is out there every week addressing situations that are created from homelessness. They're checking on fires, they're checking on houses that are being squat. Those are all monies and time and energy that this community is putting into making sure that other people are safe. Planning and zoning is dealing with issues that concern people squatting empty houses, people involved in houses that are empty and trying to find out who the rightful owner is, if we have a lien on it. Everybody's busy, working towards those solutions. So it's very important that we all understand what is going on with that. We prioritize as a group what we thought were the public safety issues. We talked about some things. I mentioned the other night that I'm interested in enacting a 1/4% twice that would be only for public safety, that would fund them only. The fire department and the police department. For what purpose? To add more officers. 1,600 to 1,800 calls a month. Yesterday, they arrested a man that had created 4 armed robberies in the city of Espanola. They were on top of it and they got him arrested. Not only that, they got the guy that murdered somebody or is accused of murdering somebody in Santa Fe that was harboring here in Espanola. Those are major issues that these guys are dealing with. These are major felonies and these guys are making it happen. And for you to say it's not happening, it might be slow for you because it's frustrating when we can't do everything at one time. But if you want to improve things, help support the 1/4% tax times 2. That will be allocated only to the PD, salaries only for their stuff, only to the fire department. That would help. When the city had 40 officers the last time, what was the budget at that time? 26 million.
$28 million.
Million dollars. We are at $12 million right now, and we have a shortfall in that budget. Our numbers are not meeting things. So there's no way to squeeze blood out of an orange. The only way to affect this situation is to enact that 100% tax. If more officers are needed, which I believe they are, then we have to do that. If we want these people that are in the streets to get out, we have to support our social services division. We have to do that. It's critical. With that being said, I'm gonna move on to something that's positive. Mr. Sir, Mr. Cole, thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you're doing for the city. One person's mind, vision, and ethic will do for a community.
I'm even shocked myself.
It's a very best way, sir.
It's almost everywhere I can see, I picked up.
So I would like to just tell you this, that I believe that the city of Espanola needs to partner with you. I don't believe that it's fair that you're encumbering those costs on your own, especially limiting. So I think that our city manager will work with you on where you can throw that trash and how the city can help pick up those bags when that happens. And also, I myself will donate to you $20 today just for trash bags, and then I would ask the rest of the council to please do the same to help him out with the cost that he's enduring to clean up our community. So I'll give you that in a few minutes. I want to move on to one other issue. I sat in a 911 meeting today. Everything in 911 is exemplary. We have the best 911 of northern New Mexico and probably the whole entire state, and I believe I'm probably even go beyond that. The work that these people do there is incredible. What makes Espanola a little bit different is that it's a partnership between Rio Viva and Chama, Okewinge, Dulce, state police, and we're trying to work with Santa Fe County to get something done there. The main thing that I want to talk about this evening is a panic button app that has been purchased by E911. So E911 has a new app that's available to the city of Espanola, it's available to the city of Rio Viva, and it's going to be made available to all the entities and all the partnerships, inclusive of the schools. The schools' licenses have been paid by the state through a special grant that allows every school to have these panic buttons installed within their schools at different buildings. What this entails is that if there's an emergency in any building at the city, there will be somebody that will have the app downloaded to their city phone that will hit that app, and it'll go directly to a screen that's inside the E911 center that will give the operator a full view of what is happening and what is going on. And it would expedite the police and public safety to affect a situation that could be hazardous. We had a situation where we were robbed at the Lucero Center. That panic one at that time would have been the perfect thing to solve that. We have 300 licenses. That's a lot. So every city building will have the availability of it, and it's even available. Like, let's say in the city hall over here, you have this corridor and you have that corridor. So you'll be able to actually split where you can have two of them in one building, where you'll have, in case something happens on this side and you're not aware of the other side, you'll be able to split that. So we're thinking that this is going to go live by the end of the year. It's something that the partnerships pay through it through the E911 system, and we're looking forward to enacting this throughout the community. Fire departments will have it, police departments will have it, all city buildings will have it. And like I said, there's 300 licenses available, so there's a lot of availability of being able to connect different entities within the partnership to that safety. So that's something that's very positive. The other thing that makes E911 very special is that we are at the top of our list with training. Recently, E911 was mandated state training from the state, different type of training. It was 7 hours of continuing ed. The Espanola Rio Viva 911 was generous enough to offer that training to all the partners, inclusive of Los Alamos, Santa Fe County, House, And anybody that wanted to take the training, we offered that training here. We had 2 people that were certified in the training and they were able to offer that training to anybody that wanted it for free. We didn't charge anybody for the training. So that was an incredible opportunity for all of those partners to get some training here for free. Like I said, that staff is incredible. They are unsung quiet heroes behind a desk, behind a microphone, behind a phone. They never get recognized for the efforts that they are creating safety in our community, and they just do an incredible job. So I just want to make sure that we, as a council, if we could please call them in on one evening, just recognize them and what they do. I too want to recognize the veterans and the city of Espanola for their efforts in putting together the Veterans Day ceremony. I think it's very important that we understand the sacrifices that have been made. I respect comments that have been made concerning free speech. I think it's very important that we listen to the general public concerning those issues. I too want to thank MSCOA for their efforts and for those people that work on lines and are out there in the cold and in the elements, in the wet, working with electricity. It has to be very dangerous and very taxing after you've been out there more than 20 hours. One of the areas in District 3 went up 3 o'clock in the morning the next day, so I believe that they were the most affected for the longest amount of time. I want to also thank the mayor and Mr. Yuhan for your communication concerning what was going on and letting everybody know that we were going to get service soon, that it was just a matter of time. And I want to thank those people that checked on their neighbors and did other things like we do here in our community. I think that that's what makes us Manila who we are, and I think it's very important that we continue that. I look forward to working with each and every one of you, inclusive of you, Mr. Ledoux. I want to find some common ground where we can create a small snowball and start rolling that thing together in an effort to make it big at some point. That's all I have.
We're gonna move on, we're gonna just do one time. Moving on, matters from the mayor. I wanted to thank all the representatives for Hemeth Mills Electric Cooperative, the line crew, the dispatch center for dealing with all the headaches that happened last week. I'm really grateful and appreciative, and I'm grateful for our staff, emergency services, streets. They were all out there plowing the snow, but also along with River County's emergency services, setting up the Lucero Center as a warming shelter. At first, we used the Beatrice B.T. Martinez Senior Center until we moved over to the Lucero Center because of some double booking, but I'm really grateful, Mr. Lujan, for your quick action and work to do that. I wanted to have Esperanza come up and just share with us briefly. She left some stuff on your table and to talk about the upcoming 2024 Espanola Electric Light.
Mayor, governing body, everybody in Cabeza world, 'tis the season, right around the corner. So with that being said, it is the 28th annual Electric Light Parade, which forever, I believe, was taken on by the Downtown Action Team. The city of Espanola will now take that over, and we're very happy to do so. With that being said, there are many opportunities from the community to help, to participate. One big one, sponsors. If anyone out there would love to be a sponsor, please reach out to us. We definitely want everyone to participate. So if you all want to be in the parade, please reach out to us. And then lastly, if you guys do want to do that, we have the forms. Other than that, we're gonna make this the biggest and best one. It's leading into our centennial year. The theme is all aboard the Christmas Express. So we want to bring in the history of Espanola, combine it to the parade, and just make it a really fun event. And we're gonna end it with a really awesome fireworks show. So again, anyone who wants to participate as a sponsor, vendors. If you guys want to be a vendor, we need art vendors, food vendors. So just whatever you guys would like to do to help, we definitely will take it on. I left you guys all papers with all that information from the waiver, to the sponsorship letter, the levels. So if anyone ever has any questions, you can reach out to 505-901 1280. So 901-1280. We'll be happy to help you all. Thank you.
Thank you and the staff for all their work on the light. It's a big effort to our community. I just want to wrap up. It's very difficult to work together in a governing body, and I understand frustrations and how they boil over, but it's important that we all come together and seek some sort of collaboration and dialogue. It's very important for the benefit of the entity. You know, I'm not gonna go down the rabbit hole this evening. I growled myself, but it's very important that we can all work together. It's not 8-1. We can all work together, and I really truly encourage all of us to engage in respectful dialogue with one another and how we work together. Moving on, City Manager report, Mr. DeVato.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, councilors. I just got to go a step further than what you did there with the last week's snowstorm and setting up the warming center at the first initially at the senior center, then moving into the Lucero Center. I want to just really take a minute to recognize my staff that I don't know what we do without them. I was on the phone all morning long. I was on the phone till 9 o'clock, corresponding with Joseph Sanchez, with the Pro-Tem, with yourself, with the counselors, calling you, letting you know. I want to first start by thanking Counselor Justin Salazar Torres, who's not with us this evening, but Chief Garcia and I reached out to him to his concerns of Valley Estates, and he gave us phone numbers of people we needed to speak to. Steve Herrera, Mark Trujillo, people states were affected severely, probably more than any other community neighborhood in the city because they were without water and electricity. And so I want to thank Councilor Torres for working with us, myself and Chief Garcia. For my staff, I don't know what I would have done without Jeff Sargent that day there, emergency manager, putting it together with County Manager Jeremy Maestas and Rico, the Fire Chief from Riverview County, and his staff. These to forget the Red Cross and my staff that really stepped up to the plate, and I had to call at the last minute to help out with the Pathways Homeless Shelter because they were without electricity. We're going to help them out with fans to bust them over, get warmth. I want to thank Michelle. Thank you so much, Michelle, for all you did. You're reaching out to hardware stores in the middle of the night to see if we can get emergency generators for them. All she did. And two individuals that really stepped up. I can't forget actually three, because my public works director worked from 6 o'clock in the morning till midnight that day, assuring the safety and the welfare of the communities around. These two individuals, they really stepped up there, and I don't know, every time I saw them today, I could stop thanking them. Ashley Snyder and Matt Torres. Stay at the center, stay overnight to watch over the people that we did have that did check in. And Mayor, we will continue to work with the Red Cross and our staff, the emergency services of Riverview County and Santa Fe County, because Pathways is in Santa Fe County. And so we will work with them diligently to help protect the people. And now as it gets colder and colder, you know, it hasn't snowed that early in a long time. So that tells us that we're going to get cold weather. But I want to let the people listening know that we are here for you. Look at our websites, look at social media, however you can to access what we need to do to help you when the inclement weather hits us. We're able to sustain in a warm atmosphere. I know that the Pro-Tem called me up and said, hey, you know what, do we need to feed these people? people, I will be there, I will cook. That also came from Felicia. Councilor Benavides was out without electricity, so was Councilor Toya. And so, I was in communication with them while you and I released through text. Councilor Toya would call her so often to check on her and the family. And it was just, our staff really stepped up. I don't have a huge staff, but the dedication is there, Mayor and Council, Mayor Pro Tem. That dedication is definitely there. John Wickersham, he helped organize. Of course, I can never forget my fire department. He made sure that the senior center was staffed. He took it upon himself to make sure the Red Cross and everything that was going on with people and corresponding with Jeff Sargent. And thank you. I called you, John, in the middle of the night. John, thank you. And for Veterans Day, wow, Chief Garcia, I want to thank your officers. What a great honor guard. I knew I wanted this for a long time ago, and it happened. I want to thank you, Lieutenant Yazzie, Officer O'Hare, and the other officer that was there. Thank you, tremendous job. Chris Archuleta and your staff, Commander, I know the commander left. But thank you for what a wonderful day to honor our veterans and to show, Santa Fe Council, their Veterans Day Parade. Right here in Espanola, we stood up and we stood out to honor our veterans. And the kind words that were spoken there, great speech, Mayor Pro Tem, thank you for what you said, for honoring all of us, and of course, I threw my hats off to Ron, a Vietnam veteran. And to Councilor Rodriguez's husband, also an Army veteran. And thank you, because you alluded to the fact that everybody served. Everybody knows somebody that served. And just hats off to Chris and his staff, and to our honor guard, and to my staff for getting that area cleaned up, and especially with after a big snowfall. And I want to now maybe just change gears and address planning and land use. I made some significant changes because I know we're very, very short staffed there. And there was a time there that there was, I believe, 14 to 15 people, employees in that division. And I'm down to 4, 5. So what I've done is I met with our finance director, our HR director, and I brought back the deputy position, and I called it zoning administrator. And I brought Tony Martinez in to handle that, and I'll be hiring 3 code enforcement officers to that, and giving some other duties to the GIS to staff it, and really, really pushing the DRT team, so that they can review permits, they can review everything to ensure that everything is being adhered to, that is within the code and the policies. I've met numerous times with the director, Mr. Martinez, and with the chairman of the planning commission, and of course yourself, because I've heard the concerns. I'd love to build this department up because, and I know we've got representatives from Los Alamos County here, but as Los Alamos grows with employment, there's nowhere to grow as far as housing. We have to look to our community to grow, and we are going to be here with this, and I've been saying this since I've been here. So we look to that future, Mayor, and we have to staff that department better and be prepared for what's going to be happening in our city. And that also includes Mr. Myers and his crew, wastewater, water, and sanitation as well. And that will lead up to this evening's presentation. I look forward to the future of our city, Mayor, as we grow and we learn from each other. We might not always agree, but we come together as a family, as one to best say what Councilor Du said, we were here for the people of Espanola. And I remind my directors that every director's meeting since I started here, every director's meeting, we work for the people of Espanola. And that's the bottom line.
All right, we're going to move into a public hearing this evening. So, City of Espanola Ordinance 2024-3, an ordinance increasing residential and commercial water, wastewater, and solid waste and charges, providing for annual cost of living adjustments providing an effective date. At this time, I'm going to allow just the presentation to begin regarding this. And at that point, after the presentation is concluded, I will open up the floor for public hearing, for the public to come in and bring their concerns and issues after the presentation. After the closure of the public hearing, then the city council may debate this item before you. Okay? Mr. Coupler.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to take your indulgence for a preliminary comment.
Mr. Coupler, is your mic on?
Thank you, Mayor. With your indulgence, I'd like to just have a preliminary comment. I just want to acknowledge Ms. Bradley, your statement with regard to the animal control ordinance. That's really on me. I need to tell you that. Councilor Martinez handed that off to me on the 13th of October, according to my to-do list. And I just, because of other priorities that came up, I wasn't able to get back to her, but I do intend to get back to her with regard to the animal control ordinance tomorrow, by tomorrow evening. And so once again, I apologize. With regard to the item you've asked me to speak to tonight, Mayor, and that is with regard to the utility fund, our enterprise fund. Basically, I'd like to just give you an overview of accounting requirements with regard to an enterprise fund. We do have a statute on the books. It is 6-21A6 of the New Mexico statutes annotated. That statute basically provides that our utility accounts are an enterprise fund. And when we submit our budgets to the Department of Finance Administration, and it is reviewed by the local government division of the Department of Finance Administration, we are required by law to treat it as an enterprise fund, which means that we are required by law to balance the budget in the utility accounts. There is the requirement, and we have not been meeting that requirement, as we will go into later, that we collect enough money from the utility accounts to pay for operation, maintenance, repair, and replacement for our water, wastewater, and solid waste. And what has happened at the state level is that it's not BFA that has come down upon the municipal governments. Effectively, the way the state has prodded us into rate increases is they have basically set up a system of capital outlay. And the system of capital outlay is what we have to depend upon every municipality in the state for capital outlay for improvements to our wells, our tanks, our wastewater treatment plant, and our solid waste facilities. Now, what happens is that, for example, if we don't keep our wastewater treatment plant up to date, we are unable to meet the standards of the Environmental Protection Agency with regard to discharge into the rivers. And if that happens, we have real problems. That's one example. Also, EPA and the Clean Water Act that is administered through the Drinking Water Bureau of ED requires that we provide potable water in adequate amounts, meaning that we have to meet ever-increasing standards with regard to trace amounts of prohibited matter in our drinking water. And that's a public health issue that affects everyone in
Espanola that drinks the water. So, in short, the DFA hasn't rejected our budgets, because you'll hear from the city manager a little later, we're not even close to collect enough revenue into those accounts to pay costs, operating maintenance and replacement. But the DFA has gone ahead and approved those budgets, but they hit us from the other end by putting us down lower on the list for capital outlay. And let me give you an example. It's just not Espanola. In the last go around, the city of Santa Fe, they have a 50-year-old wastewater treatment plant. It is not within the specs for discharge into the river. The wastewater treatment plant for Santa Fe is going to cost $88 million to replace, because Santa Fe has not kept up with the rates. And I'll get into it much later. Their rates are $55 as opposed to the 20-some dollars worth of them, because Santa Fe has not kept up with them. NMFA awarded Santa Fe $1 million to deal with an $88 million problem. And Santa Fe is not going to get any more money unless they significantly raise their rates, which again are much, much higher than this. That's New Mexico's system of capital outlay, allocating limited resources of revenue to all public water systems. This requires Espanola's constant periodic rate review in order to assure adequate money for capital improvements. There is a 2023 study of 2022 statewide local rates, and it's published by the New Mexico Environment Department. It was the centerpiece of a Sunday, September 22, 2024 6-column report in Santa Fe, New Mexico. This is not a problem that's endemic only to Espanola. In there, it was reported that in 2018, the Office of State Engineer estimated that there were $2.7 billion, that's $1 billion, of water infrastructure needs in New Mexico. In 2024, local public capital outlay plans for water infrastructure needs amounted to twice that much, $5.7 billion. I.e., go back to the Santa Fe example. They have an $88 million bill to replace the sewer plant, and they got $1 million from this fund. That says it all. Competition among public water supplies for limited funds is fierce. And as reported again in the New Mexican, water customers using 6,000 gallons a month pay in Santa Fe almost $55 minimum rate. You'll hear from our city manager later with respect to the minimum rates under this rate increase. Yet Santa Fe, even with that local effort, as I mentioned, they're $88 million need, and they are awarded $1 million. All this means that unfortunately local citizens have diminishing influence over how much they're going to pay for municipal utilities. The combination of ever-tightening federal standards for wastewater discharge into the river, ever-tightening standards for potable water at the tap, and limited amounts of capital outlay available from the legislature, that's what determines whether or not Espanola is maintaining high enough rates to generate sufficient revenue to operate and maintain the drinking water facility for its useful life and to pay for financial assistance. And let me just mention one other thing. We've recently had a settlement of one of the cases, and I believe you have the name of the settlement. I think it was Aragon or Abbott.
Aragon.
Aragon. And Aragon is one of two cases that is being litigated in this area that's going to determine the water rights of this area for all of the public water systems and all of the people who depend upon water through wells. And in the Aragon settlement, the good news is that the federal government is a participant in that settlement. And the good news is that there's going to be a very large pot of money for the city of for the city of Espanola, sorry, to improve their water supply through new wells. The bad news is that all of that money, $15 to $30 million, a lot of money, is probably going to barely suffice a brand new municipal well, 6-inch casing. Because I've dealt with this particular situation with a client in Taos County, about a water and sanitation district. A brand new well is $5 million. That's $5 million. Now, the $5 million is going to be paid for by the federal government, and that's the hardware. But the cost of finding an appropriate spot to drill, the cost of all of the legal and professional fees involved in siting the well and dealing with all of the conflicting pressures from landowners, and the fact that we're going to have to move our well field way west of the river and then bring the water back across sovereign nations, which means we are going to have to pay more for trespass fees. All of the soft costs in getting that put together are going to be a burden on our water and wastewater revenues. And those soft costs, if we're talking about spending 15 or 20 or $30 million or $50 million on water infrastructure because of that settlement, and it's a good deal because at the end of the day, it saves our water rights. It gives us the ability to pump sufficient water rights to serve the people of the city over the next 100 years. But in order to do that, it's going to cost our water users and customers a lot of money, in addition to what we're getting from the federal government. So to secure necessary funding from NMFA to maintain the system in compliance with regulations, it looks to me like Espanola must first appear on the NMFA priority list, be considered ready to proceed, meaning we have construction plans in place, have adequate technical and managerial capability to operate the drinking water system for its useful life. And you all know the stories already. Our public works director is very familiar with the fact that we have to pay much more than we ever had to pay before for operators who have the skills and the level of certificates necessary to run these very sophisticated systems. I was prepared to go on and talk about comparisons with regard to other communities, but I think the Santa Fe comparison is adequate. I stand for any questions, and I think at this point I need to refer to the city manager or the public works director to give you the numbers with regard to if we do the rate increase, what is that going to do for our enterprise fund?
Carla, can you bring up the presentation material? Huh? No, we're still in the presentation still. It was included in this, that rate study from 2021? Was that included in this packet?
It's a package, Mayor. It's a letter to the governing body. This is April, finance director. As well as the rate study.
Was the 2021 rate study put inside this packet material?
Yes, Mayor.
Can someone explain to me why it was not put in? It's not on there. It's not in there.
It was sent in a separate email?
No.
It was in one minute.
It was sent as one attachment.
That's why I think this one was all sent.
So it was a, let's see, how many pages is this? It's a 32
April, I don't care about that. What I want is the 2021 rate study put up that has a comparison. It was commissioned by NV5 and the city spent about $50,000 in 2021 to go forward with this study.
Page 11, you can tell the clerk on page 11 of the package that was provided.
Is it the part with the blue?
It has it got the blue thing, the NV5 page.
It says city
I want it put up here as a presentation.
Here you go.
This one's already talking. Yeah, these guys are freaking clowns. They don't know the whole. This is idiocracy at its finest. They can't find the number. They can't find the water numbers they're looking for. Apparently nobody submitted it. Right, blame that, right? Yeah, absolutely. This color plan's great. It's got electrolytes.
Can we get it up here on the board? Can we get it in copies for the entire council?
Everything was provided in the packet, so everybody should have had it 72 hours in advance.
I just resent it, sir. Sorry, Chad.
None of you have it. I'm going to be very clear. None of you on the council have it.
Nobody on the city council has the numbers that he's asking for.
Other than the mayor pro tem, nobody had it.
Wow. Nobody on the city council had the
Can you ask the clerk, Mayor?
3 years ago.
What
So
was
it's
that?
submitted years ago and nobody
I
has
said,
those
can
numbers.
you ask the clerk what happened to the packet that was submitted last week, by Wednesday? It was one PDF version that was submitted from me and Elijah. It was sent Wednesday at 5:40 PM.
We call for a 5-minute recess, so we can just give the staff a chance. Pull that up without feeling the pressure, coming down on them. I have an equal, hold on.
Thank you, Carla.
It's said 2021 now.
It's a summary report from.
Pardon me?
That is a summary report from NV5.
Yes, that's what I want. Okay, that's perfect. Just go to the front page. Go to-
To the front page of the.
Yes.
Where's that now?
Keep going to the front page of the presentation. Right there. Is someone making a copy of that?
Yes.
Wow, they have a nice building there.
Do you wanna go forward,
That's not as
Elijah?
familiar.
And
I don't know where that is.
explain to
Right
her,
here.
how about you go over and then they'll bring us a copy.
You want me to go with the whole MV5 study?
Well, like, I mean, as detailed as possible. I think everyone here is prepared to spend as much time as need to get the information.
Okay.
Okay. So apparently it was sent to you via email when the agenda packet goes out on Friday, but it didn't get uploaded to Civic Plus. She just found the email. Okay, go ahead. We're giving you copies anyway.
What we have in front of us right now is the rate analysis from MV5. They did this a few years back. They compared us to, I believe, Belen, Santa Fe, and there's a few other ones that I all put in there. Something earlier. Yes, I believe it was Belen, Los Alamos County.
And Los Alamos,
Yeah.
Elijah's, Belen, Los Alamos, and Santa Fe.
Yeah, those are the three that we were compared with. Because two of them are neighboring and the other one is similar in size. This basically goes over what we've done over before. This is going what our current rates are, what we're charging for commercial and for residential, which is the, echoing from somebody. Okay.
So that's our current rate.
Yes, these are our current existing rates right now, which is the 1796 is our base for water, 2610 for wastewater. Sanitation is listed as 1730, but we actually been charging. We found out the billing was 1646. Yeah, 1646 on there is what we actually been charging. So even though it says on there the 17, we've actually been charging 1646. Now because it was through North Central at that time, so that was what was being charged. Then of course expenditures per 1,000 after that 730, 768 for class 2, which is your commercial, and class 3, 10,000. Sorry. So those are the residential right now. Go ahead.
I don't know what that was, if that was somebody's ring.
So these are just our residential rates that we have on there right now. So those are the base ones. When it comes to this study, they're gonna look at the entire thing of gallons after the initial, and we're not looking to do that right now. What we're looking to do is just on the on initial and not additional gallons. So that's what we're looking at, a 550 rate in addition to each one of those basic residential charges. So this we're not being charged for the extra thousands when it comes to watering your lawns or anything like that. Any of the stuff that you do in addition to, that's not going to be affected on this right now. We're not looking for that. We're looking for the base rate because we have not done this in several years. So we didn't want to put a large shock to the system and go according to what this study is. And I can go line by line as to what they went through on here. Like I said, I really wasn't prepared to go through each one of these, but as far as what we're concerned right now, is we wanted to go off the base rate. It's easier to do that and to help the citizens in that manner. This basically breaks down to they wanted to do a 17% increase where we needed to be at that point in time in order to be current, not for any future growth or anything like that. So that was just bring ourselves current as to where we're at.
So if I can intervene, Mayor Pro Tem, councilors, city manager, public, if you look at the WH Pacific and NV5 company summary, report that's in front of you. It's dated December 22nd, 2022. And without going into great detail as far as the summary results of this study that the city spent quite a bit of money on to get this study done. Again, it was done 2 years ago. And the conclusion is that the company has recommended that the city of Espanola raise the rates on at the time, which was water and wastewater. We didn't have sanitation at the time. They would raise those rates by 17% in order just to keep up with operations and to do a little bit of infrastructure needs. Again, this was 2 years ago that this study was done. The recommendation was 17%. The rates have not been raised for the city of Espanola in, I believe, 17 years. The letter in front of you that's proposed was dated on November 12, 2024, and that was addressed to the mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Councilor, the city manager, for myself, the finance director, and Mr. Elijah Matis, public works director. It breaks it down a little bit easier. Shows you the residential rates, and what we're proposing is a $5.50 increase in residential utility rates for water, wastewater, and sanitation, and an additional 10% proposed increase to commercial utility account rates for water, wastewater, and sanitation. In your package on that same letter, it's broken down a little bit better, but I can show you the numbers in a minute if you have additional questions. The proposed residential adjustments will generate an estimated $792,000 in additional annual revenue from approximately 4,000 residential customers. The additional revenues in commercial from approximately 500 commercial customers will serve to cover the future growth needs in all three departments. Again, this study was done prior to sanitation being taken over. So when you look at the residential rates, our current rates, you'll see on the letter show water at $17.96, and that's for the first 3,000 gallons. Wastewater is $26.10 for the first 3,000 gallons, and sanitation is $17.30 for the base rate. $5.50 per department would become a proposed rate after the increase of water $23.46 for the first 3,000 gallons. Wastewater would be $31.60 for the first 3,000 gallons, and sanitation would be $21.96. So again, that would be a breakdown of financial impact of additional revenue of $792,000, which can be divided between the three departments, which brings us to about $264,000. And we have between 4,000 and 4,100 residential customers, so this proposed rate would generate a significant additional revenue to help with our rising operational costs, such as maintaining the operating water, wastewater, and sanitation services, along with inflation, our infrastructure improvements that are needed, our service quality enhancement, and our yearly easement payments that our attorney just spoke about that we have to Santa Clara and Oakland Union. If you look after the letter that I just talked about, or the memo, I'm sorry, if you go back down a little bit, you'll see the current rates for the water and sewer that aligns with the rates that I just explained to you. It'll show the difference in the proposed increase in the water and the wastewater, as well as sanitation. This was approved by the Finance Committee on June 26, 2024, approved by Public Works Committee on July 15, 2024, and now we bring it to full council today on November 12, 2024 for consideration on moving this forward. Mr. Poplar did speak about this earlier. I did speak to Mr. Poplar last week on Friday, I believe, and he mentioned not only that we want to do the $5.50 increase per department, but to propose that we do a 5% auto increase to utilities for the next 5 years, so that way we don't have to go through this every single year, and this will help us to keep up with inflation as well as the rising operational costs. So I did do a financial analysis if you would like me to give you a breakdown of that, but right now all we're looking at is the $5.50 on each department.
All right, and let the record reflect that Councilor Salazar Torres is entered the meeting. The time is 7:35. Welcome, Councilor. You may proceed with discussion, Elijah and April.
Thank you.
Thank you. I sent for questions as far as where I'm at, if we want to get a little bit more.
So we're not gonna do that right now, April. We're just gonna finish presentation, and then we're gonna move forward for public hearing. So if you and Elijah as friends can presented all your aspect of your presentation. Yes. Mr. Juarez?
As far as I'm concerned, this is the biggest part of what we have right here was the residential, which is gonna be 550 on each one. Like I said, we didn't want it, and that was by Mayor Pro Tem that actually helped suggest that rather than going across the board on everything back in finance back in July or June actually is when it was. Huh? Public Works. I'm sorry, we've been to a few of these, so. And then the biggest thing is just that's what we're looking right there, and a 10% on commercial.
So, will the clerk please, do we have a copy of the proposed now?
It's on there, sir. If they scroll back up, it's on.
So, would the clerk please pull up the proposed rate? So this is what the standing rate is since 2009, the city of Espanola facility charges those amounts, just
If
so.
you go the other way,
Just real quick,
Martinez.
clerk. Just, yeah, just go down, just to go down. So, just so the public understands, that's the current residential charge, monthly service facility charge, $17.96. And then the sewer's $26.10, and then your trash, it's not on here, but it's $16.46.
1646 is what we're actually charging, sir.
Now, would the clerk please move on to the residential proposed rate?
That's the commercial right there.
Oh, that's currently what we're charging?
Yeah, that's currently for, I believe, for commercial rates. So this is just gonna show that there, it's a lengthy thing that goes through on here. That's why the breakdowns that we have there are a little bit easier for
So
everyone to kind of see.
if you look at page 5, it says current rates. We tried to break it down as easy as possible so that everybody could understand. If you look at the current rates on page 3, you'll see residential rates highlighted current rates, and it has the water rate monthly service of $17.96, and then the sewer $26.10. If you go a little bit lower than that, then that shows the breakdown of the commercial rates, and those are current. And if you go into the second page, right after that, it's highlighted proposed increase of $5.50 for each individual service provided. I broke this down on the last 2 committees on an Excel spreadsheet, and it was requested by Councilor Ledoux that we break it down side by side with the rate structure, the way we have it right now, so that's what we have here for you. So basically residential and commercial are within the same sheet.
Is everyone following along with this? Everybody understand?
Is there any way that we could get it?
Yes, please let me know if there's any questions. I do want to add something to the presentation if possible, Mayor, as far as we're looking at our expenditures.
Hold a minute, Mayor Pro Tem?
The issue for me is it's hard to compare these if I'm printed on both sides. I have the current rate on one side and I have the proposed rate on the other, so you have to be flipping back and forth to understand what's going on, but basically it's just a $5.50 on every service.
On residential, it's a 550 flat on each one of the 3 services there, so that way it's not affected by additional gallons, it's not affected by additional polycarts you require. Any of that other stuff has not been affected on the residential side. And then we wanted 10% on the commercial side across the board on that. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Correct. And Mayor Pro Tem, just for clarification purposes, we were looking at anywhere between a 17 and 20% proposal increase based on the study, but for our former discussions, you had mentioned a 550 on each one would be something that looked a little bit better for us to do, and that's why we stayed with those numbers.
So blame it on me.
No,
it actually helped out.
I want to make this very clear. This went through various studies and such that were commissioned in 2021. Mayor Pro Tem, Councilor Benavides, myself. I recall I was on Public Works as City Councilor when we authorized moving forward with this rate study. The city has, hold a minute, bro. The city has not moved in the direction to adopt a rate increase since 2009. But obviously the city in 2021 commissioned a study, and so here we are at this point. But any discussion, any innuendo that the Mayor Pro Tem came up with 550, I mean, they're all based on a scientific proof of we're going through a process. So I want to make that very clear to the staff, to please not use that language, it's unacceptable. This is gone. Well, no. The staff needs to put together a well put together presentation and such. So this was approved by Finance Committee on June 26th, 2024. When did it go before Public Works? July 12th. All right, and so it's gone through 2 council committees, and here we are.
And
You may,
every single counselor has an opportunity at the committee level.
yes, so we're not, at this point, the council's not gonna engage in discussion yet, we're still gonna finish the presentation. Mayor, April, I'm sorry. April, Elijah, you may continue going forward.
Okay, so Mayor Pro Tem, I just wanted to say it's less than 17%, so you know that, the total increase on residential. The other thing I would like to add is just something that I brought up during the budget hearings, and that's what, since I got on board, I had seen that the enterprise fund is continually shrinking. Our cost of goods, our cost of, with the inflation rising, with the cost of employees, the enterprise fund is continuing to shrink. I mentioned the last 2 meetings that the city's idea to take over the trash services also put us in another situation where now we have a 3rd department who falls under the enterprise fund. Just in the last 3 years alone, we've had a negative variance from 2023 to currently 25. Just a real quick analysis for FY 23, we had $1.2 million in revenues, 1.3 million in expenditures in 2023, which brought us to 165,268 variance. FY 24, we had 1,860,000 in revenues. We had 1,857,000 in expenditures, which gave us about 2,000 in variance. Now that we started fiscal year 25, we already have in first quarter 497,706 in revenues, and we've only brought in, in revenues, and we've spent 885,000 in first quarter. So we have a negative $387,000 variance in quarter 1, and this is continuing on. So based on the conversation that I had with Mr. Koffler last Friday and Mr. City Manager, we discussed this 5% increase, and I did a forecast for the councilors, just for number purposes to see where we're at. And over the next 5 years, even with this rate increase, and if we were to propose a 5% every year, we're still looking at $1 million deficit between the 3 departments. So as I mentioned before, I would have personally recommended a 17 to 20% increase in the rate increase for water, wastewater, and sanitation, because it hasn't been done for over a decade. But based on inflation and the price of goods going up, and I deal with this every week. Every week I have Mr. Modis and his team come in and put in purchase orders. We need to buy this, we need to buy that, we need to continue to provide services to our constituents. And I tried to push back on spending. Last year I pushed back on spending when I started. So we were in a better position last year, but this year, as I mentioned, we're just starting first quarter. We've got through 3 months of the fiscal year, and we're already over. So this is going to become a domino effect in the future, and if we don't raise the utility rates, the enterprise fund is just going to continue sinking. We're not going to be able to pay employees. We're not going to be able to keep up with keeping our employees. And this is something that Mr. Modis can speak of, because this is something that he deals with every day, is either losing employees to other cities or counties, or not even being able to hire them because of the rates that we're offering. That doesn't include if a well goes down. Mr. Modis, you can speak on that, about what it costs for clearance, if either one of you is there, what it costs to just, a well going down, a big huge leak. I mean, the cost to continue to provide services to constituents is just growing. So we have to look at the councils have to look at the enterprise fund as a business. In order to sustain a business, we need to bring in enough money to be able to sustain those services. We're not looking at a profit, and constituents to know is that this has nothing to do with bringing in additional excess revenue. This is just to break even. In addition to that, Mr. Coppler mentioned the settlement funds that we have due to the pueblos, or to one of the pueblos. We have a $2.5 million settlement due by the end of the year. That's part of our cash balance right now. At the end of quarter one, we have a cash balance in sanitation of $180,000. We have a $2 million balance in water, and we have a $1.5 million balance in wastewater. If you put all those numbers together, after we pay the $2.5 million due out in December, we're looking at $1.2 million in actual cash remaining. That's basically a reserve fund. And at this point, I worked really hard on trying to get the audits together and get our final trial balances done in our finances. And right now, our cash balances are up to date as of 2023. I'm finalizing the 24 and getting on the 25, so that number's still a little off, but I can almost bet that we're looking at 1.2 and a lot less than that. So if that's what we're sitting on, that's looking at an enterprise fund of business sitting at 1.2 million. There's no emergency money. There's no money to help us go forward to pay easement rights to either pueblo, which is going to continue to increase year by year. We're paying $75,000 to one pueblo and $40,000 at a compound interest rate of 3% to the other pueblo. So those are going to continue to grow. So again, I just want to remind the council that we're not only looking at operating costs to continue to provide services to the constituents, but we're also looking at constant easement rights that we're going to continue to get. We're looking at rising costs on being able to retain employees, and I'll let Mr. Modis talk about the rest, but that's basically what I've done to give a little bit of an illustration as to what's happening to this fund. If we do not increase these utility rates, we will not be able to continue to provide services within a period of time.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, just to add to what Ms. Moya put on there is, anytime we have a well go down, it's $100,000 to $150,000 to get those repairs done. We had 3 pumps that came before you guys here, just for the pump. These aren't the motors that attach to these. These pumps are separate from the actual motors and stuff that say like for the wastewater department. We had $78,000 for 3 of them. We got to wait 8 weeks for them to come from Sweden when they come here. I have centrifuges that run on there that require maintenance every year of 2 minor and a major, then 2 major and a minor to be offset on there. We're flying in engineers from Germany because they're the only ones that work on this. These are coming from there. These parts come from Germany when we send everything off to get there. Those services right there, just to bring them in, is $350,000 to $400,000 a year. And that's just servicing of that little portion of the wastewater plant. We have aging stuff there that I have quotes on there for $2.7 million to replace some of those pieces on there. And this is just aging stuff that we have to deal with. You know, last time we had one, I believe, was in 2012, was an upgrade to the plant there. But as we're looking, we're starting to do that. So if we looked at when Los Alamos growing, housing wanting to grow here, we're only going to be able to do 4,000 or maybe 4,500 more residents in this town if we're lucky to be able to sustain that on the wastewater side. The water side may be able to sustain it, but the wastewater can't. Yes, we have a 2 million gallon capacity, but we can only run at 75% max to be doing that because we have to look for any kind of surges. And by calculating that, we looked at about maybe another 4,000 or 4,500 residents permanent living here. So looking to the future, if we want to grow the city or anything like that, we have to be able to pay for all these things here. We have water breaks all the time. We have one on Industrial Park. One water line broken. It's a $436,000 estimate just to repair the road up there. That's for one water break on a main coming off there. That was a 20-foot or 18-foot section of pipe we had to replace there. Cost $436,000 in damages. We paid for that out of that $1.2 million. There's not a lot left over between 3 departments if they need anything. We still have to pay for one more sanitation truck that's coming in, and that one I believe is at 300 and some thousand. Don't quote me exactly on that, but it's a $300,000 to $400,000 truck that we're bringing in. We still have to pay for that, and that's on top of that. I want to replace the trucks, the older ones that are backups. I want to replace those too. We need to replace those. We can't rely on vehicles as backups for any of that stuff for this. We want to continue to provide these services. We have to be with these current rates. And we're not looking, you know, like I said, we're not gonna get rich off this, none of this stuff here. What we're looking at here is to be not competitive with anybody else. We're not worried about what anybody else does. We're only competitive within ourselves here to be able to take care of our stuff and grow these departments where they need to be. And it's not to, you know, like I said, none of us are gonna be doing like that. It needs to be competitive though. All these entities, and I know we like to compare ourselves to the same size cities, but I have to compete with Los Alamos, I have to compete with Santa Fe, I have to compete with Taos, you know, I have to compete with these other places here. And they're offering anywhere between $10 and $12 an hour more for all these employees for exactly where they're at, in addition to what they're making on that. And it's not just the employees, it's the employees as part of it, that's big, and we have to train these people. These trainings don't come for free anymore. You know, one CDL license, we're looking at $2,500 to $3,000 per individual to get a CDL. And you got 10 people in there, that's, you know, $30,000 I gotta put out for new employees that might need somewhere else to go get employment. We have to pay for these things. We don't like to increase just to increase. These are necessities that are there. Like I said, they looked at a 17 to 20% increase originally, and we're not doing that. We're doing this to start off with, and then from there, doing what needs to be. We have some of the lowest water rates around, period. Awasana and these places here, people that I've spoken to, their average bill is a lot higher than ours. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Our bill looks increasingly bigger because we have 3 separate bills and 1 bill. You gotta separate in your mind there, the trash, the water, and the sewer. It's not my water bill is $100. It's not my trash bill is $100. It's still broken up within there. It's 3 individual bills that are still less than anybody else is charging around here. And with that, we have to be able to fix things. We have so many projects and stuff right now that we can't fund ourselves. We're looking at federal funding to do it. And with that, federal funding requires matches or requires upfront money to spend. We don't have that. If I get a $2 million grant to fix something, we're supposed to pay that $2 million and then they'll pay us back. I don't have $2 million to pay in the first place to do it. We're looking at Riverside Drive, New Mexico 68. That is a $36 million project we're looking at roughly right now. And that's just from Walgreens to Napa Auto, and that distance right there. That's replacing the mains on both sides there, and then all the lines that connect to it. Not going any further than that. $36 million for that little bit of lines there to bring them up to code and bring them up to where they need to be. The first major fire we have in there, some of these places, it may collapse some of these lines, and we're going to be replacing a lot of that there. That's $36 million, just that one there alone. And new well, like Mr. Copper said, there, $2.5 to $5 million depending on by the time we're done with it, just to get it. And then we're gonna be looking at future treatments for some of these wells here too. I mean, the water all has to come from somewhere, and there's only so many areas within this boundaries that we have within the city, or that we can even viably get from that it's gonna be clean and clear. Some of our wells to the south and some of the other communities are dealing with this too. There's high uranium when it comes to the southeast side of the city limits. And it's not just us dealing, there's also local water authorities that have to deal with the same thing. We have to either be able to treat that, which is expensive, or we have to be able to find other places which is still expensive. Still gotta get lines there, we still gotta maintain them, we still gotta bring it. The bottom line is, this needs to be done, and it's not because anyone sitting here, there's no nefarious thing in there. It needs to be done in order to bring us up to where we need to be to have these monies to do it. I can go get all the grants I want, but if I don't have money to pay either a match or to pay up front and get a reimbursement, it does no good. We have to have some kind of reserves, or we can't rely on the general fund, we can't rely on anything else to do this. We need to have these extra monies for that. It's not because I want to do this, it's not because it's, you know, the most popular thing to do. Trust me, this is the most unpopular thing you can possibly be sitting up here and telling people that, hey, we're gonna have to do a small increase. That's all we should. But with that, that's all I have on that one right there.
Does the presentation rest from the city staff?
Mayor Pro Tem Council, I just really want to emphasize that we entered this process as much as possible. Please, it's long overdue. We cannot really afford to give the services that the people of Espanola deserve in these 2 departments. We have to be able to sustain and grow in these departments. And at the time there, we know that the sanitation department was not part of the study However, we inherited it and moving forward in that department. And it is a part of the enterprise, and we continue to grow in that department. It's fully staffed, got our trucks, and we just, as that fleet gets depleted, we gotta be able to recover them, either purchase new vehicles, or and improve our staff and give them more pay, because they work hard in that department, day in, day out. And as other entities, give holidays off for the sanitation department, we do not. So I applaud the sanitation department, the hard work that they do. The water department, the same thing. They're out in the middle of the night, fixing water leaks and all that they do. And of course, sanitation, wastewater. It's a system that was a well-built system when it was built, but now we have to continue to keep it clean, and then as Elijah alluded to what was going on in 68, we have to continue to grow our services along there to areas that have not have those services. And as Frank was talking about the out of one water settlement, the city of Espanola is going to get $33 million from that. We just began the Abbott settlement hearings, and the city of Espanola is fortunate that we have water rights, and that sustains us through these hearings and through the Abbott and the out of one settlements, and we'll continue to, as that makes us a player in the game along with the Pueblos, and now we understand that the Oaxaca Pueblo is joining a small portion of the Abbott. But we continue to have to serve our citizens and to continue to compete with the areas that surround us. And in order to sustain that, we have to increase the utilities, and we're doing it at a low rate. We're not killing it. It's something that is livable. If you look at Santa Fe and the areas that were compared, they increased immensely. And we're not doing that. We're living within our means and still continue to provide services to our community. Right?
Mr. Copper, do you have anything?
I would like to mention that the 5.555% increases that are in the ordinance was my idea, and the basis for that is simply this. We have a legislative session every year. Elijah has emergency repairs and unexpected expenditures every year. And unless we put something in there to automatically increase, do we really want to go through this pain every year? Especially, do we want to go through this pain every year after having some sort of crisis with having to replace a $30 or $40 million piece of water, wastewater, and not have the rate in place in order to go to the legislature to get the money that we're going to need to make that? Do we want to do this every year? I don't think so, so I leave you with that thought.
Thank you. Ms. Moya, do you have any final comment?
The only final comment I have is just to piggyback on Mr. Copper's comment in reference to the increasing it by 5% every year. That's still going to keep us bringing up revenue, but we're still going to be in somewhat of a deficit. So again, I highly recommend that we make this rate increase sooner than later. Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Martin?
The only thing I want to add to what Mr. Lujan said there, that settlement that we did get for Aragon is through the state. So that's not federally funded. That's going to be through the state of New Mexico, and if they don't pass it on their budget every year for that, so we're not guaranteed. We're part of the settlement, but it's not something that we can automatically count on and say we got $33 million. We have to wait as the state legislation in order to enact that and get it. So where they get the funding from and stuff like that may take a while. It's one of those things that even though you have a judgment claim that you've been awarded, it's that funding has to be there in order to receive it. So yes, that will help at some point. I can't guarantee when we're gonna get that. It could be this year, could be next year, it could be by the time any of my staff retire, I don't know. I mean, all these things started back in the 70s and 60s, and we're barely coming to a head now. So if they took that long for that, it may take I don't know how long it's gonna take for the state part of it, and I can't speak on that, but just so you know, it's not a guaranteed right off the bat that we'll get them anytime soon. Just to add that, sir.
Mr. Duval, final.
And Mayor, if I just want to emphasize that, yes, Elijah's right, the $33 million will be allocated to the state engineer's office, but it is, they're very strict on how this money is going to be used as it's allocated. It can only be used for water projects. That's it. And so, as everybody knows, we're looking at our laws on the land grant and the Chris ranch, and so we want to stay focused on that. We don't know what we're going to get out of the audit as of yet. So we've had 3 meetings, but it's looking good for the city as far as I can see. I know you guys do. So that's all I have to say. Thank you, sir.
I want the governing body to understand the staff will come back up during our discussion to answer any questions. But at this time, I'm going to open up the floor for public hearing. The Mexico State statute requires that public hearing is the only actual opportunity of a public meeting that we are required to have public comment. I want you all to understand that. Additionally, we're going to allow public comment for the ability to get your point across. Repetitive comments will not be allowed. Anything else, Mr. Copper, on that?
Yes, Mayor, I think what we're required to do is give everyone in the audience an opportunity to come and speak that wishes to do so on this point, and ask their indulgence. If your point has been made by another speaker, it would be behoove everyone, I think, to come up to this podium and say, I agree with the points made by so and so, and that will save some time in terms of getting through the public hearing.
All right. The time is 8:03. I'm now opening up this public hearing for adoption of City of Espanola Ordinance 2024-3, an ordinance increasing residential and commercial water, wastewater, and solid waste and charges, providing for annual cost of living adjustments, providing an effective date. You will need to come and indicate your first and last legal name as well as your legal address. Am I missing anything else, Mr. Copper? Anyone here in favor or in opposition to the adoption of City of Espanola Ordinance 2024-3, please come on up here.
Hello, I'm Phyllis Gordon. I live at 1200 Chacoma Lane. I'm brand new to this. This has been a real eye-opening experience.
Miss Gordon, can you
What?
move the
Oh,
mic?
sorry. Don't I talk loud enough about it?
No, we have to make sure the
Oh, okay.
transcriptionist can hear you.
There hasn't been a raise for.
Hold a minute, Miss Gordon. Can you please indicate your first and last legal name as well as your legal address so the transcriptionist can record that?
My legal name is Phyllis Gordon. I live at 1200 Chacoma Lane. And
did you hear that, Elizabeth?
Yes, but not very loud. You can speak close to the mic, please.
Okay, we're gonna go now.
my name is Phyllis Gordon. Oh, you turned it on. Good. I live at 1200 Chacoma Lane. And I have only been to one other meeting, and that was probably in 2009. And you guys haven't done a water raise here since 2009? Well, are you sure 5% is enough? I mean, this is just ridiculous. There's no money for this town. We wonder why you can't do anything. I'm for it, but I think it should be more.
Anyone here in favor or in opposition to ordinance 2024-3, an ordinance increasing residential and commercial water, wastewater, and solid waste and charges? Please come on up here to the.
Good evening, my name is Dinah Quintana and I live at 928 Calle Vista. And like Phyllis, this is very interesting to get some of this information. However, it's also very concerning. Mr. Coppler, you talked about the cost to drill a well. You spoke about many different possible problems that we may have. I'm a little concerned, and I guess my question is to Mr. Coppler. As recently as 11 months ago, there was a study that the New Mexico utilities that were paid for by the New Mexicans reached somewhere around $2.6 billion. Now, I'm not saying all of that came to Espanola, but that does lead me to ask, as a citizen of Espanola, are we allowed or can we get a copy of this enterprise fund? You never mentioned how much money was in there, nor do we know how the money is allocated.
Fair enough. Let me just, those are good questions. What is in the enterprise fund? Are you talking about the state fund?
Well, I got the impression it was the Espanola Enterprise Fund.
The enterprise fund in Espanola is what we're talking about. That's what April has, our finance director has addressed. And she has basically said that if we don't have this increase and another 5% COLA for the next 5 years, we're going to be so far behind that. And then I chimed in, we're going to be so far behind that we're going to find it impossible to go to the New Mexico Finance Authority, which is the state fund for water, wastewater grants and loans. We're going to find it impossible to get on the list because they are rating all the local governments based upon their local efforts. If the local governments do not do what we're doing, are proposing to do tonight, we will not be able to get the money to do the things that Elijah talked about in terms of the emergency, in terms of what April talked about, in terms of paying for our easements to the sovereign nations, and in terms of the soft costs in order to spend the 15 or 30 or $35 million coming from the government, because we're going to have to protect our water rights, move our well field west across the river 4 or 5 miles away in order to get quality water. So that's the funds that we're talking about. We're talking about the city's enterprise fund for water, wastewater, and solid waste, and the need to raise those rates. And we're talking about the fund that has the legislature. Now, you asked me how much is in that fund? With regard to the city fund, Elijah, he told you how much was in there.
I guess I missed it. Could you repeat that, please?
No, I won't. You're gonna have to ask Elijah. But with regard to the state fund, the state New Mexico Finance Authority, that amount is determined annually by the legislature. The first thing the legislature does is finance state government. And then what is left goes into these funds to provide grants and loans to cities and counties. We don't know how much is gonna be in that fund until next year. And suffice to say, they only finance out of that fund perhaps the top 40 or 50 projects. The rest of them fall to the wayside.
Thank you, Mr. Coppler. So Elijah, I'm sorry, for my own benefit, would you mind telling me where is Elijah?
Mr. Coppler, I'm sorry, for public hearing, can the public go in and? Well, yeah, I'm gonna defer to you, Mr. Coppler.
I mean, technically, we're not
Yeah, you
here
can.
to debate with the audience
Yeah.
about the issues. we're here to try to provide information, but I don't mind being put on the spot.
I'll defer to you.
So no.
I guess I'm lost. Do we know how much is in that fund?
We do not know how much is in the state fund, and I believe, if I recollect correctly, Elijah, talked to you about what is available in our own fund as well as April. And basically, they said without these increases, we are not going to have sufficient money to meet the current emergencies, let alone the unforeseen emergencies.
I understand that. And apparently,
April said we had $3.5 million in there.
thank you.
$2.5 million.
Correct, that's-
In June,
Yes.
in December to Santa Clara Pueblo, leaving us with about $1 million in that. fund.
Okay, thank you. I must have missed that. Thank you very much. I
Thank you.
am opposed to the increase.
So what I would like the staff to do is document all the questions that are coming up this evening. Mr. Lujan, can you please document every question that's come up and then address it during the discussion later on with the governing body? We will not entertain back and forth discussion between the presenter, the speaker and the body. That opens us up to liability situation. So again, like Mr. Costa, we're not gonna do that again. Anyone else in favor or in opposition to the adoption of City of Espanola Ordinance 2024-3?
Good evening, Bethany Bratley, 1106 North Riverside Drive. I just have a couple questions, so if you guys want to answer whenever. First question is, as far as senior citizens go, we all know that their budget is pretty tight as it is already. So I had a few ask me, or have me to ask the question, what if they are not able to make their payments? And I know that there is a late fee. Will the late fee be going up?
Mr. Mayor, her name.
And my question is,
Eva, you need to indicate your legal first
Oh.
and last name and your physical, or your legal mailing address.
my name is Eva Beta. I reside at 1915 East Shadowwood Lane, Espanola. Okay, I came in this room to be opposed to the increase. But I guess I'll agree with that because I know our infrastructure needs to be fixed. I mean, a basic car needs to be maintenance. My question is have these facilities been maintenance regularly, like every year, instead of waiting for this big old problem to come that costs $350,000 or millions that we don't have? So are you guys maintaining, saying this has been, before it's a problem, this has been in existence for 15 years and hasn't been maintenance? It needs an oil change by now, don't you think? Are you guys doing anything like that? And I would like to know how often, or if you have a schedule for how you're maintaining our facilities in our city as far as water and sewer go. Thank you.
Anyone else in favor or in opposition to the adoption of ordinance 2024-3 in the city of Espanola? Ordinance increasing residential and commercial water, wastewater, and solid waste charges, providing for annual cost of living adjustments, and providing for an effective date. Is anyone here in favor or in opposition of the adoption of ordinance 2024-3?
Hello to all of you. My name is Celestino Vigil. I live in 1728 Calle Redonda. And I really oppose to this because, like the lady mentioned there, in the past, people didn't care, I guess. Maybe past counselors, if you were on you, they didn't even stay on top of it. So now you guys are trying to correct something. It's good, but it's been a burden Basically, I'm just gonna say, I'm a retiree. Everybody in here, I think, works. So you guys can afford whatever rates come up because you have a raise or whatever. But me, I don't manage because I heard this conversation and I see it that it's not gonna, you guys are looking forward to raising a five and five. My other question I have is five for each of those three, and then will the other $5 be every year, and when does that take effect? When do all these raises? It's gonna be a total of $20 per month on our bills, if I'm right. One will be once a year only, or one will be monthly, $15 monthly, right? 15 so and so. And when does the other $5 kick in? Once a year, when the first of the year, one time a year, or can you guys give me an answer on that? Somebody?
Mr. Vigil, we'll talk about that when
Okay.
we open up the floor between amongst each other. The manager's keeping a note of all the questions that are being asked tonight, and they will be discussed during the next presentation.
Because I was opposing it only because of my income, but if it goes through, or if it does happen, I hope we don't have to end up in this meeting again 2 years from now, a year from now. We need more money, or increase it more. I mean, we waited 10, 15 years before the increase. Before, if it goes through, I don't want to be here hearing this again, even though everything's going up. I heard everything going up. Financially, to run a city, it's expensive. But as long as that, and as one more thing I want to say about, I think, no, I'm going to mention this. You mentioned that it's hard to keep people here, because people come here and then go to another place. Only if the city does a retainer, it's called retaining fee. If you're here for 3, 4, 5 years, offer to give $5,000 or $1,000, and for staying, and a lot of companies do that, a retainer's fee. So they'll encourage them to stay here and give it a chance and work for it.
Anyone here to speak in favor or in opposition of the adoption of City of Espanola Ordinance 2024-3?
My name is Floyd Archuleta, and I reside at 612 Camino Santa Cruz. Rate increases are never popular. I understand that. And we haven't had an increase since '09, I guess. And it surprises me that it's taken that long, really. But I understand, and especially these days with the economy where it's at, and hopefully things will be getting better soon now. But I can understand the costs that are involved in the maintenance of our infrastructure. I understand also that we're hurting budget-wise, and we need to increase our gross receipts taxes. Maintaining the infrastructure in the city will allow us to bring more businesses and more GRTs to the city. And unfortunately, we don't like to have us pay more out of our budget for maintenance of our infrastructure, but there comes a time when we have to do that, and we all have to do our share. And it's not that it's easy on any one of us, and we all have other commitments, but I do support the ordinance, and I am in favor of it. Thank you.
Anyone else here in favor or in opposition to the adoption of ordinance 2024-3? Last call. Anyone here in favor or in opposition to the adoption of ordinance 2024-3?
I'm in favor of this. Just on that increase for local. But what I'm struck by is the decision to make it 5.5. There are
Happy Thanksgiving. Happy
that are water